Okay, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to each one of you. Suprabhat, आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत है. Today we have a phenomenal program or interactive session of the panelists from ISHRE and RATA, which is on HVAC and COVID, चुनौतियां और समाधान. What are the challenges and what are the solution for the same? And before we start, I would request Mr. Richie Mittal, National President of ISHRE, to address this August gathering, please. Richie, sir.
Thank you, Mihir. Good morning, friends. It is the first time we are having a joint webinar or say panel discussion with ISHRE and RATA. So I welcome you all. And just to brief you quickly about ISHRE, ISHRE is Indian Society of Heating, Refrigerating and Air Conditioning Engineers, which has around 43 chapters and sub-chapters all across India. We have 30,000 members, including students. And, while fighting at COVID epidemic, we decided to form a task force for ISHRE task force to generate a guideline on HVAC&R. And I'm happy to see that our chair for the technical committee, Vishal Kapoor, is also in the panel. Mr. Gautam is there. We have quite a few members of the committee, task force is here. So that guideline has done wonders, and we had a good launch of it. And it has been adopted at various platforms, including CPWD. And we are looking at adopting at other agencies like Government of India or states. So that is what I would say. And with this, looking forward to a fruitful panel discussion today. Please send your questions. We'll try to answer as far as possible, although I think we have already worked on the questions which you would have liked to hear. So thank you very much and all the best. Thank you, Mihir.
Thank you so much, Richie sir, for those kind words. May I please request Mr. Ajit Panekar, President of RATA, to address this August gathering. Ajit, over to you.
Thank you, Mihir. Thank you, Mr. Mittal. Good morning, everybody. It is fantastic to be part of the same platform with ISHRE to do a program which is so extremely important for all of us. To introduce RATA, we are a 71-year-old association, and in the entire value chain, right from a manufacturer to a consumer, the biggest connecting force is small businesses, micro, small, and medium enterprises who are manufacturing, who are into the trade, who are traders, who are probably sales and service dealers, who are consultants, every business owner, people who actually connect and make this HVAC&R industry, people who create the maximum jobs in this industry. So we are an association which is the voice of these entrepreneurs. This event today is also to help us to get going after a difficult situation like this. So RATA has been focused, and we reach out to approximately about 6,000 odd MSMEs across India. And we have over close to 1,000 odd who are actively participating with us literally on all events and all activities. So the idea is that we are one of the most critical components in the business on the entire value chain. And RATA is focused on helping not only this industry grow, encourage new entrepreneurship in this field, and build business standards so that we are not just better than what we are today, but we can also be at par globally. And that's the whole purpose of RATA. Thank you very much. And I'm sure you will have a great knowledge session today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Ajit. Friends, before we start, I would like to lay down a few rules. I mean, all of you are already muted, as you are aware. Okay, any queries, any question you have an option on your chat. You can ask the question, you can post your question, and we would try and answer them as much as possible. We have already collected quite a few questions from you all, and those questions would be answered by this eminent panelists who are here. I'll start with a brief introduction of all the panelists who are there. It is in random order, none in particular. We have Mr. B. Kalyan Raman. He's from Hyderabad. Mr. Kalyan Raman has got 33 years of experience in HVAC industry in various capacities. He founded Sri Comfort 19 years back. Sri Comfort is one of the largest dealer of Daikin in all the verticals and having operations in multiple locations in South India. He's also, very active member of ISHRE as well as RATA. Then we have Mr. Gautam Baliga. He is director at Opel HVAC Engineers, design and build firm in HVAC and healthcare, pharmaceutical and industrial spaces, chair of healthcare technical group of ISHRE. We have Mr. Anish Kandyan. He is executive director, property management, CPRE Southeast Asia Private Limited, a leading real estate service firm. He leads the property management vertical that serves over 180 clients and covers a portfolio of 200 million square feet across 220 properties. He is a postgraduate in mechanical engineering, has 25 years of management services in technology and intensive environments. His areas of interest include maintenance management, corporate governance, strategic planning, and technology inversions in industry. Anish is a professional engineer, active member of ISHRE, certified auditor. One second. Yeah, certified energy auditor and IGBC accredited professional. We have Ms. Shama Jain, Director of KM's Technology Private Limited, formerly Christopia Systems Private Limited, completed her formal education at Essex University, UK. After her training in UK and exposure to international business and management techniques, she joined the Christopia Energy Systems Private Limited, headed by her father, Mr. D.K. Khemkar, in 2001. Mr. Ajit Panikar, he is the CEO of Nova Group of Companies, a 45-year-old company offering HVAC consulting, contracting, and customer service. He is also founder member of PureBoot Fluid Technologies, an IT firm that focuses on building cloud solutions for companies in the field of HVAC and R. He is also current president of RATA, which reaches out to over 6,000 MSMEs across India. We have Mr. Richie Mittal. He is B from BIT, Mesra, was followed by MTech from DCE. He joined ISHRE in 1987, holding various positions as National Treasurer, Secretary, President of Delhi Chapter. Currently, he is President of ISHRE. He is board member of IAQA, member of Council Representative of ASHRE, with various other designations. He is running an HVAC consultancy firm under the name of Overdrive Engineering Private Limited in Delhi. Mr. Vishal Kapoor, mechanical engineer from IIT Roorkee, 1991, MBA from FMS Delhi, 1993. He is 48 years of age and is engaged in HVAC industry since last 23 years. Managing Director of MEO HCP Air Systems Private Limited. He is currently Technical Chair of ISHRE. Mr. Vikram Murthy, Bachelor of Technology in Electrical Engineering from IIT Kanpur, 1975 batch, Director of Univec Environment Systems Limited for unitary and applied HVAC products and systems, located in Mumbai, with more than 40 years in HVAC industry. So friends, I'll be your moderator. I'm Mihir Sanghvi. I am currently part of the advocacy committee, and I'm also secretary of RATA. I'm going to be the moderator. We also have Mr. Peter D'Souza. He's trying to get through. If he can manage, great. He's the chief engineer of Lilavati Hospital. So friends, this is a fantastic panel to have, and we have amazing people, and looking forward to a lovely panel discussion. So I think to start with today's session, the most controversial question, I think, let me put it, nation wants to know, or perhaps world wants to know. I'll get in Mr. Vishal Kapoor. My question to you is, ye condition mein, COVID condition mein, can we switch on AC? Can air conditioning spaces can be utilized? I'm starting only with controversial question. Nation wants to know. Vishal Kapoor, your answer.
Namaskar, good morning. Nation wants to know reminds me of someone I'd rather not talk about over here. And over the last few days, few weeks, we've all been hearing so much about air conditioning on media. आज तक पिछले कितने सालों से मैंने इतना कुछ discussions media में नहीं सुना about air conditioning media में various circles में. So as Richie said, that we did form this task force to understand and plan and not just give any opinion that we wanted to. And we researched a lot, we gathered a lot of details, data from across the world, from various countries, got support from various associations all across the world with whom we have very good relationships, whether it is in US or from Japan or China or Korea or all over Europe. And very safely we can make a statement that during this time of the pandemic, air conditioning and ventilation systems can be safely operated in residential and commercial applications. Yes, you need to have specific controls to maintain the temperature, humidity, and to ensure adequate ventilation and filtration. Please remember one thing very clearly. When you need to control something, the best way of doing it is doing it mechanically. Anything which is natural is not controllable. Hence, a mechanical ventilation filtration provided by an air conditioning system can actually perform this function most effectively as compared to, say, something like simply opening a window or just simply running a fan. Hence, please go ahead and you can inform everyone that yes, air conditioning ventilation can be used with some specific rules and controls, which I'm sure our panelists ahead are going to be talking about that.
Okay, just to carry the question further, I think the next obvious question what is coming is कि ये air conditioning के through spread होता है क्या? That is the obvious question where all our clients are asking today, and I think you can see a lot of myths which are being put across on various media. And I think thanks to you and thanks to the COVID force, today we can see that NDTV has actually acknowledged ISHRE COVID guidelines, and they've actually said that yes, it can be operated. But your take on this, please. Vishal?
I think if Mr. Baliga can answer that question, it would be...
Yeah, sure, Mr. Baliga, if you can answer whether this virus is airborne or whether it is spreaded through aircon.
Just a moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Shukriya Mahir, ये तो कोई मामला ही नहीं. Many confuse airborne particles with airborne droplets. If infected person's big cough droplets fall on nearby people or they breathe the droplets, they may contract the virus. These droplets have nothing to do with the air conditioning. In air conditioning, we are concerned with the very small particles less than 5 micron, which are aerosolized and remain in the air for hours. If virus exists on them, the infectivity is considered to be very, very low to create a problem. As per WHO and ICMR, this is not considered the way the infection spreads. The chance of infection by airborne virus is there only if the room has several infected people and there is no fresh air in the same. That would be my take on it. Thank you.
So, sir, जैसे एड्स के बारे में लोगों को अवेयर करने के लिए कहा जाता था कि ये छूने से नहीं, ये बीमारी छूने से नहीं फैलती. Can we make a safe statement on ISHRE platform कि भैया ये कोविड वायरस एयर कंडीशनिंग के द्वारा नहीं फैलता? Can we say that?
Very true. Of course, as I told, there are caveats. You should not have infected people, too many of them in the room and no fresh air and things like that.
Perfect, perfect. But it is not a blanket that we cannot use the air conditioning. I think that is the myth, I think, which you have already answered. Right, right. Thank you so much, Baliga Saab. Vishal, I'll get you in with a question that एक basic question जो पूछा जाता है, what is the effect of humidity on the spread of this virus, and what are the indoor RH levels which are recommended?
So here, actually, one of the most important questions, because over the last few weeks, specific to COVID-19, and in the past few years, compared for other viruses, including SARS, etc., a lot of research has happened on the effect of humidity. And what has come out very clearly is that humidity is a very important aspect in controlling the spread or control of this virus. Now, if I have to answer this question, इसको मैं 3 part में divide करूंगा quickly. Number 1 is humidity का इस वायरस की इन्फेक्शन कैपेबिलिटी पे या सर्वाइवल पे क्या असर होता है. सेकेंडली, इस ह्यूमिडिटी की वजह से कैन ये वायरस एयरबॉर्न और ज्यादा हो सकती कि नहीं हो सकती है. एंड फाइनली, एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग हमारे ऊपर इसका क्या इफेक्ट आता है. नाउ लेट्स टॉक ऑफ इनइफेक्टिविटी. Over a lot of research in the last few years, it has been found that in a spread of humidity's band of between 40 to 70, 40 to 80% band of humidity, indoor humidity, the speed of this virus, the infectivity of this virus, the survival chances of this virus goes down drastically. That band is the best band. Below 40%, when it goes as low as 10, 20, 25%, this virus can be very effective and can survive for much longer periods. Hence, this 40 to 70, 40 to 80% is one band we need to keep an eye on. Second thing, please remember, whenever the air is dry and droplets fall out from our mouth when we cough or when we sneeze, etc., and these droplets that come out, these droplets have virus inside them. It is encapsulated inside that. This droplet will evaporate much faster because the air is very dry, and it will become smaller and smaller. And obviously, as we would all agree, if the particle is smaller, it will remain suspended in the air for a much longer time. Also, please remember, when the air is very dry, and you can feel that आप लोग Delhi वैली में North India में देखते हैं कि जहाँ पे बहुत dry होता है, it is very difficult to clean surfaces, and automatically you'll have more of resuspension, more resettling happening in those areas. So again, dry air becomes bad for this virus. It helps the virus, but it is bad for us. Finally, as a human being, our system, our body has a fighting mechanism, a control mechanism at various levels. So in our respiratory tract, we have something called, for example, a mucus layer. This mucus layer is able to catch the large particles before they go deeper down into our pharynx, etc. If the air is dry, what will happen? हमारा जो mucus होगा, वो moist नहीं रहेगा. That mucus also will become dry. Hence, particles will go deeper down into our system. Similarly, in the lower tract also, we have the bronchi and the alveoli, etc., which they capture the smaller particles. Hence, if the air is dry, our mucus will become dry and we will not be able to capture those particles. So the most important thing to be kept in mind from an air conditioning, or I would say from an indoor environment point of view, कि मेरे को indoor में क्या environment चाहिए, the most important thing is humidity, and the band that we prescribe is a humidity level ranging between 40% to 70%. This should be the most suitable environment condition for humans and also to decrease the problems from these pathogens. Higher humidity than 70-80% has a lot of other problems like fungus, mold, allergies, etc. So we do not recommend going higher than that. 40 to 70% humidity band is the best recommendation.
Perfect. I think you have given that in total details. There are also questions, Vishal, where the high temperature inactivates this virus. What do we have to say about that, and what are the recommended indoor temperatures? Because this is also another very important question, which majority of the clients will come across to the system operators.
See, please remember when this virus started in countries like China and then spread to Europe and other parts of US, at that time, those places were cold and they were dry. Everybody started talking about that time. We need higher temperatures, we need high humidity levels. The right word was not high, the right word should have been higher. Because as I told you, in case of humidity, when the temperatures are very low, when it is very cold, automatically it is a dry air. So it is bad for us, it is good for the virus. Similarly, in temperatures, various studies have been conducted at various humidity levels. Studies were conducted at various temperatures using a viral culture method, etc. And what was discovered was 7 to 8 degrees Celsius. This was the most optimal temperature for airborne for this influenza survival. The most optimal temperature. Further going ahead, with a temperature of around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, the survival rate decreased progressively of this virus. And further touching 30 or beyond 30, it became even much lower. Hence, we are talking about a higher temperature than what we had faced or people have faced in Europe and US. And a recommendation of ISHRE, keeping all this in mind, is a band of 24 to 30 degrees Celsius. And how do you do that? We would say that in dry climates, where the humidity levels are not very high and you do not need dehumidification, you can even go closer to 28 to 30 degrees Celsius as set point temperature. And you can use fans, etc., to give you the air movement and give you the comfort. And maybe in very high humid places where you will need to dehumidify, you might have to go down to 24, 26 degrees Celsius. So the band is 24 to 30 to safely operate air conditioning.
Okay. A general perception or the biggest fear what people have with increasing ambient temperature, is it safe to switch on ACs at home and at what indoor conditions? Of course, you have answered a couple of those points. But for Aam Janata, is it safe to switch on AC? That is the biggest question which are coming forward.
It is absolutely safe. Please remember, when we are trying to fight heat, when the conditions around us are not comfortable and we are facing thermal resistance, and the temperatures, humidity levels in the room we are in, especially because now the weather condition across India is going to get very bad. Whether you're in a home, whether in your office, if you are trying to fight some other problem like a thermal resistance, you are actually destroying your immunity. You need to be strong enough to face other challenges in life from a biological, medical perspective. Hence, yes, it is safe to operate your air conditioning in your room, in your office, but in that band, and very important to control the humidity.
Perfect. Since you specifically spoke about humidity, I think I'll get in Mr. Richie Mittal at this stage. Is a vast portion of our country uses desert cooler in summers for comfort, home and factories. Are these safe to use, Richie sir?
So Vishal has already, set up a bandwidth of humidity, which we talk of 40 to 70. And we are talking about increasing the fresh air. So desert cooler for that matter is the, good option, I would say, that it is bringing in fresh air. Now, there are a lot of people who are having these kind of desert cooler kept into the room. So they have to make sure that this brings in 100% fresh air at all the time. That is first one important. Then secondly, that yes, it is safe to use desert cooler, but with 100% fresh air. Also, you have to make sure that you are doing complete exhaust of that, because we have seen that a lot of places people install the cooler and they do not have adequate exhaust. If you do not have adequate exhaust, the humidity level will go up. So please, we have to be careful. The bandwidth, what we are talking, based on the studies, is 40 to 70. So if we have a better exhaust, so that humidity level, I don't think will go up. So, and frequently we need to clean the water tank. We have desert cooler. We normally don't bother about it. We cool it once or twice a season. But I would request that please increase the frequency as much as possible, depending on the water availability that you have. So it is safe to use desert cooler and with 100% fresh air and good exhaust. Thank you, Mihir.
Perfect, sir. I'll get in Mr. Vikram Murthy at this stage. Vikram Saab, there are various commercial facilities like your offices, grocery shops, etc., which are open and running during this pandemic. What is our advice to them as far as running of the HVAC system goes? Because that is a general square what people have, that I mean, aaj main yahan pe jaunga and I may get infected, AC wahan pe chalu hai. These are all again myths and the doubts what they have in their mind. So what is our guidelines to them?
Oh, yes, very good. So before I answer that question, I wish to add a further statement to what Vishal said about homes or anywhere. So one very important matter is ventilation, which he had stated earlier, but I'm re-emphasizing that. So if you're running your AC in your home, you must have ventilation by either simply opening a window a little bit, or you can get in fresh air to a fan filter system. But in any case, you must run a small exhaust fan, which you might already have in your home or your office, in the kitchen or in the toilet. Please run that, because ventilation, changing the air inside constantly, is the most important thing for care, apart from temperature and humidity. So now let's come to your question about, first of all, we talk about small commercial spaces or small departmental stores which are open. So I live in Mumbai, and near my home, there's a store called D-Mart. It's a very successful brand of stores running all over Mumbai, and there are similar kind of stores running in other cities. So I went to the store recently. It's a largish store, not so large. It is between, their stores are between 6,000 and 10,000 square feet. So you can see that they have 2 floors, and they all run with ducted air conditioning, these kind of stores. So when I went there, the temperature was set at 25, and they were running some fan which they had brought in. They had maintained social distancing. They were cleaning the surfaces regularly. It was very good fresh air inside, and everybody had to wear a mask. And the people serving us were wearing gloves as well as masks. They were very particular about the way we conducted ourselves inside there. For smaller stores, I would give the same advice as for home. Run your AC at a higher temperature, do very good ventilation, clean your surfaces very well, don't allow crowding, wear your mask. This is all the advice I would give. And the last part is now offices which might already be open. Please make sure you have followed ISHRAE's COVID guidelines for startup That's very important about how you will maintain the place before you start running it. And thereafter follow all the guidelines which we have been telling you, essentially the right temperature, humidity, ventilation, and make sure everybody inside is wearing that mask, because you wear the mask, you've killed your COVID chances of getting it or giving it. I think these are the most important things, and we must be all very mindful of all these points. Mask, mask, mask. You will protect yourself and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikram sir. Rishi sir, I'll come back to you now again. Vikram sir spoke about the commercial facilities. Now we have industrial facilities. Few of the essential services industries are already running, and government has already allowed quite a few industry to reopen. Now for industrial facilities that are open now or will open later, do we have any specific recommendations for HVAC consideration?
So, Mihir, I will not talk of the air-conditioned air here because air-conditioned area is already being spoken by Vishal, Vikram, and everyone. So, I'm going to talk on the industrial ventilation, for example. And there are a lot of industries, especially in north and north part, they have evaporative cooling system or two-stage cooling system, which uses cooling media as pads. So, I think we need to be careful on that aspect of it. That we need to dry the pad regularly every day, rather, I would say. And I think we have also mentioned it very categorically in the book also, that you dry the pad for 30 minutes so that any growth of bacteria or virus on the pad dies away when the pad is dry. Then you can wash the pad using the circulating pump and then restart the system. So it is very easy, but yes, it needs to be done because this is a standard procedure. But it was not being followed rigorously, but now it's the time that we follow it. And also, I mean, it is, since we are working on a good fresh air, again, I would say that in industrial application, exhaust plays a vital role. Please understand the bandwidth of humidity remains 40 to 70 as per the records. So if you do not have good exhaust, the humidity will go up, which is not a good idea. So I would say that please work on better exhaust in the industrial facility, and it is quite safe to run. So we also talk about duct cleaning and other aspects of it. Yes, if possible, that is also a good idea to do that, but that is a challenge. And so industries are safe to run on ventilation and evaporative cooling with proper exhaust and have a good amount of air changes. That is very important. I think that is what I would say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those insights. I think now we have, I think you have covered all the various gamuts of business and what are the precautions and what are the guidelines what ISHRAE has come up with. I think at this stage I'll get in Ajit. Ajit, I mean, you have heard all these experts, I mean, who are also, I mean, I'll put it as warrior on the field. Quite a few of them have their own businesses and quite a few of them are right now also working. My biggest query to you, Ajit, would be, how do you think that HVAC community is ready to start with business? I think that is the biggest jitter what people have, biggest issues what people have. What is your take on that?
So Mihir, I'll break that question into two parts. Ready to start business. ये वायरस जो है बिना बिन बुलाए मेहमान हमारे पास आके बैठ गया और आप हर दिन उसके साथ डेट फिक्स कर रहे हो. 14 अप्रैल को हम खुलेंगे, 3 मई को करेंगे. What has the date got to do with a virus or this COVID pandemic? There is no date with it. The only way this problem is going to get solved is when there is a vaccine and a cure. Come to terms with it. This is a test match. It's a long drawn out plan. So what you're readying to start business is primarily that we cannot be in a permanent lockdown stage. We need to actually start some work so our lives can go on partially. We can, everybody, because the economy, if it continues to remain in a lockdown, will kill more people than the virus. So it has to get opened up. But the challenge is when this whole business starts is, जैसे ही ये spread बढ़ना शुरू हो जाएगा, तो government फिर उसको lockdown करेगा. So it will be a temporary opening, temporary lockdown. So every time the infection rise, you will have to be careful and remember that this is again a lockdown will come. Second, you're ready to start business. When you start your business, अगर आपके ऑफिस में अगर इन्फेक्शन होगा तो क्या होगा? सबसे पहला सरकार आपका ऑफिस तो बंद कर देगा. आपका ऑफिस बंद कर देगा कि वो लॉकडाउन फिर उसका डेट भी एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा आपके पास. दूसरी बात, आपके अगल बगल के ऑफिस, योर नेबर्स हु आर सपोर्टिंग यू टिल नाउ, their business will also get, your relationships will go for a toss. So first is accept this reality that you are preparing to start the business under the COVID pandemic. That is the whole thing. Ye taiyari to start the business is not to go back to what you were doing. The truth is, whatever you have done till now will not be applied in this new situation. You have to prepare for a very difficult situation that yes, we have to start business, but under the COVID pandemic situation, how do we start the business? And that is what the guidelines is also helping you build, preparing for that stuff. And that is what the industry needs to prepare itself. Mentally, इसके लिए हम तैयार होना चाहिए कि ये कोविड पैंडेमिक में हम कैसे बिजनेस चालू करेंगे, और अगर कल बंद पड़ गया तो टेम्पररी होगा, तो फिर हाउ डू आई स्टिल रन द बिजनेस एंड मैनेज, एंड हाउ डू आई मेक श्योर दैट नोबडी इज इन्फेक्टेड. दैट्स व्हाट्स इंपॉर्टेंट.
So I think you compared, I think, starting business with an ongoing test match where we have lethal bowlers who are continuously bowling bouncers after bouncers and googlies after googlies. So tell me, what is the net practice that what we can do to prepare for this? That is the first question what I have. So I think, what are the challenges what you foresee, and what preparation we can do right now during this time to embrace this test match and be ready to face these, lethal bowlers?
Brilliant question. So this is your free time. This is the time where you can sit at home and do nothing as far as starting your business is concerned. But what you can do is list down all those challenges, the difficulties that you're facing. First is my technicians. How do I train my staff? Not just my technicians. Please remember, when everyone is talking about training their people, you're only thinking about the field team. Yes, of course, the field team is at the front line, but also your staff, because you might not be able to operate your office in full strength, so you bring in partial. In fact, you might be forced to operate without an office. So how are you going to manage that? How is that staff also? So everybody in your company needs to understand the gravity of the situation, and everyone has to be trained. Most of the time, you might not want to bring your staff to the office to reduce the infection. So how do I actually make sure that I train them right now? You have to think through this whole thing. When I start my office, maybe the initial hiccups, everything, then can I run my office with minimal staff? Can I think of just maybe 1 or 2 people who are there in the office only for the material handling? These are the things that you need to think about. These 2-3 people, like we know most of the industries and the pharma industries which have started, they've all been told by the government that can you provide accommodation in your office for those 50% of the staff? Can you and I do that? Can we have only 2-3 people who are sitting there? It is not a one-day decision. Have you spoken to these people? Have they spoken to are they ready to come on board? Have they spoken? क्या उन्होंने अपने परिवार से बात किया हुआ कि हाँ ठीक है, मैं अगले 30 दिन के लिए मैं ऑफिस में रहने वाला हूँ? वो कहते हैं ना, अभी तक तो हम घर पे बैठा हुआ था. कुछ दोस्त अभी आज बोलते कि जब ये लॉकडाउन खत्म होगा ना, मैं 10 दिन के लिए छुट्टी पे जाने वाला हूँ मेरे ऑफिस में. अब सिचुएशन सच में आने वाला है, that where you might have to put your people in your office for maybe a month together to reduce. You have to think out of the box. How do I get out of this partial lockdown, reduce the infection? You have to list down the challenges and you have to start preparing. This is the time for that.
I think perfect. So another question what I have is, I think you heard quite a few of these, experts. I mean, you understood what are the ISHRAE COVID guidelines. Now, the biggest challenge what Ajit, all of us see, I think it is not about just downloading that document or just reading that document. It is about implementing in our day-to-day business, whether it is on the servicing part or on the project part. So how do we implement this COVID guidelines?
Okay, so when you prepare, now you got to make a complete plan. Okay, it is you have to think through everything. That you're starting the whole business. Think of like you're supposed to start the business, and what all would you do? So have a day-wise plan for everything. What will happen, because what you will get is a partial relaxation with the fear that this might lock down again, because we have seen typically, I am based out of Mumbai, so we have seen in Mumbai they relaxed it on 14th for essential services and then they clamp back again because the infection started rising. So this is a reality. Use this time to train your staff. Training your staff is not difficult. Please remember, you are not going to get an opportunity when this partial lockdown comes where all these people can be called together in a huddle and you can train them. Use simple tricks, no? Use a WhatsApp video. Bring in 4, 6, 6 people together and start training them. These are the small things. Start thinking, how many more smartphones, how many more laptops, who has it? think of where the, most of us might just have desktops. So you got to think about, oh, okay, what can I do with these desktops if I get an opportunity to get to my office? Where can I place them so I can keep running on these whole things? Put these dates together so you know when I restart how many days I have to go live, and every day is planned very carefully. The ISHRE COVID guidelines is a fantastic 17-page document, and I want to congratulate ISHRE and its technical team for having done a not only just a brilliant job of actually listing out all the challenges, but you've also bought it out at a right time. You bought it up much in advance. So that document you can use to train your people. Now, अभी training कैसे होनी चाहिए? अब बहुत से लोगों को समझता है कि ISHRE गाइडलाइंस का डॉक्यूमेंट आ गया और व्हाट्सएप में आपने PDF भेज दिया, अब ट्रेन कर दो. नहीं होगा यार, ट्रेनिंग ऐसा नहीं होता है. अंग्रेजी में लिखा हुआ है. आपके कितने लोग हैं जो अंग्रेजी पढ़ सकते हैं? सबसे पहला उस डॉक्यूमेंट को आपको समझना है. आप उसको, you have to read it again and again and understand what are the relevant points for your business. That you have to understand. Then do video calls with 4 technicians, 6 technicians, your staff, and explain to them in the language they understand. It could be Hindi, it could be Gujarati, any Tamil, any language. You are the official trainer. You are the official person to get this happening. So you have to do it. So you will have to take this trouble, and you don't have anything else to do right now, right? So rather than stop being worried about it, देखो यार, you and me are today, this webinar has gone full in 10 minutes because we are prepared, that we want to be ready. It is the hope that we will start again which makes the big difference. Why can't you give hope to those staff? Tell them that I'm going to use the ISHRE guidelines and I'm going to train you, because that is hope. He is also more worried than you are. This is a great tool to get your team motivated and tell them that we are preparing to restart. And this is the guidelines that we have to follow. Make a 35 questions out of that 17-page document. 35 questions, train the guy, send him a link on that WhatsApp of that questionnaire. You can do it free of cost on Google Forms. Send him the link and tell him, भैया उस 35 question को मेरे को 100 out of 100 चाहिए. I want each of you to answer that question. नहीं समझ में आया मुझे फोन कर, मैं वापस समझाता हूँ, लेकिन वापस जाके आंसर करो. Train it, drill it down under every staff's place as to what the guideline says. It will save your life and it will save your business. It's in your own interest, worth the effort.
Thank you so much, Ajit. As usual, you are one of the most passionate speaker that we have, and I think the way you speak, I think you actually, strike the chord of everyone who is listening to you. Thank you so much for your insights. I think I'll move on to Gautam Saab. Gautam Saab, one of the biggest concern right now all of us have is, God forbid, I think anything happens on the COVID front and all that, or we have to go to the hospitals and various part. So tell me something, many hospitals are creating COVID-19 isolation rooms. What are the specific design and the operational consideration that we have to take care of? Because quite a few contractors will have this opportunity, I think, to do the business. So this is a very prime consideration.
The isolation rooms. Yeah. The isolation rooms have a particular function, and that is to. The isolation rooms have a particular function, that is to protect the healthcare workers and other patients in the hospital. That's the primary purpose, apart from giving the person some treatment. And this is done by keeping these isolation rooms under negative pressure. Air conditioning is either provided by, giving treated fresh air, that is, outside air that has been cooled and pumped into the area, or drawing the air conditioned air from the ward in which the temporary cubicle has been created. So by maintaining the negative pressure, the contaminated air inside the room won't come out to the other ward areas. So the other ward areas become protected from that place. The negative pressure is created by an exhaust fan. And now the next question is, what do you do with the exhaust? The exhaust has to be thrown out of that area into the atmosphere using HEPA filters. Or if you can't have HEPA filters for any other reason, ISHRE has given the option of using chemical treatment of the air using 1% sodium hypochlorite solution. why this particular solution? Because this is a solution that is very predominantly available in any nook and corner of the country. Even if you go to a village hospital, this particular solution is prepared as per the government directives for cleaning the hospital. So this is why this particular chemical has been recommended. So this is to ensure either by HEPA or by the chemical treatment, you have that exhaust air going out, so that the exhaust air is then safe for the neighborhood. So these are the basic things that need to be taken care of in an isolation room. Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam Saab. In fact, this particular question was for Peter Saab. Unfortunately, due to some urgent duty at hospital, he could not join. I don't know whether you will be able to take this question. Was that many quarantine facilities are getting created all over the country? Would there be, I think, similar HVAC design consideration for the same?
See, when we are doing all this as a stopgap arrangement, this is going to be not something that is going to be ideal. But what is accepted by WHO and as well as the local governments is like this. In quarantine, we are having all sorts of patients who are not actually in an advanced state of infection, and some of them might be just under investigation. Okay, so these are the type of people who will be cohorting in the quarantine for a period of say 14-15 days, within which they get the test result. So these quarantines are being created in wards inside the hospital. The first thing that we have to ensure is that the air handling unit that is supplying this particular area does not have common facility as being offered to another part of the building. So it has to be dedicated only for this particular facility. The second thing is that we should not have return air. You'll have to block all the return so that this particular room then becomes a once through type of system. The cooling air is drawing only fresh air, it is getting cooled and is being pumped into the air. And the next point is that you have to keep that under negative pressure. Here, the negative pressure could be with just exhaust fans, because we are still not talking of patients having confirmed cases of virus. So the exhaust fan will maintain that room under negative pressure, and it will prevent the contagion from going from this ward to the other places, adjoining places in the hospital. So these are the basic precautions. Then there are cases where there is no AHUs at all. The AHU is not there, and they put high wall splits or cassettes in that particular area. Even that is considered okay, so long as you have maintained the social distancing. You have to have a minimum of 1 meter between the adjoining beds. That's the minimum precaution that you have to take. And apart from that, you have to have the exhaust fans so that the negative pressure is created. That also does one more thing. Because of the negative pressure, it starts infiltrating air from adjoining areas, and thus you get a sort of fresh air replacement into that area and dilutes whatever airborne infection that might be there in the room. So these are the basic precautions you take for quarantines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gautam Saab. I'll get in Mr. Kalyan Raman at this stage. Okay, and Kalyan sir, I think you run a very large operations in terms of in Hyderabad regarding, and you're catering to quite a few of these hospitals and all these places. Okay, I mean, where you're doing operation and maintenance, or you're doing servicing contracts or AMCs or CMCs. My question to you is, what are the precautions to be taken for the technicians going to these facilities?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Good morning to one and all.
Very good morning.
Thanks for keeping me in the panel. See, the safety of the technician is the most paramount. As Ajit said, just giving a few slides or few do's and don'ts and tell them or sending them in WhatsApp will not work. I think you need to really train them well in terms of you have to take them even before deploying any time, even when the lockdown period ends. Then when you start, you need to really train them. Then only you should send them on the field. I would say some of the few do's and don'ts which I will just mention some of the things. The ISHRAE document is very detailed. and it has got all the do's and don'ts. In that, I will just mention few of them. Carry your company ID card always with you, so that they are aware who you are and all that. And in case you are also going in a lockdown period, please take an authorization letter from the person who is calling you, so that you are safe, so that you won't get any issue with the police or in between any issues. And avoid using public transport. Generally now public transport, though it is not available even after the lockdown, don't use public transport for some time. Use your personal vehicle as far as possible. And even before using a vehicle, disinfect your vehicle. And it has to be done on a daily basis, and you have to give special attention to the handle, gearbox, and gear rod, handbrake, and so on, and seat belt, etc. And when you go there to the site or nearby site, you have to check the home quarantine sticker and stamp of the customer's location. Please do not enter in case there is a sticker or a stamp saying that this area is quarantined. So please don't enter. Please inform the customer and reschedule your visit. Maintain social distancing norm and wear mask at all times, and avoid personal contact, including handshakes, customers, and codes. And as far as food is concerned, carry your own. Don't look for canteen food or any other food. It will be better you take your own food and water bottle. And 20 seconds as per the WHO guidelines. Always carry sanitizer with you, so that whenever washing is not possible, it may be useful. But one caution, you have to keep it a little bit carefully, because we do a lot of hard work and electrical works. We need to be very clear that we will not do it simultaneously. And use prescribed PPEs, personal protection equipments, and carry a sanitary bag adequate size to keep them and replace the disposed and safely. And follow proper disposal methods of your gloves, your personal protective equipments, mask, etc., goggles, and all that. And one more important thing which I would say is monitor your health closely. If you have any symptoms like fever or cough or sore throat or tiredness or any other issues, please inform the office and take care of yourself. Don't go anywhere. It is not important work, and you should not carry, and you should not take the chance. And avoid using alcohol-based sanitizers when you are working with the, as I said earlier, with the electrical or hot work. And there are some small don'ts which I will also tell you. Never board any unknown person in your vehicle. It's not safe. Never handle other person belongings or sharing food, and don't even use their mobile phone or things like that. So there are things. Never use other person's PPEs or helmet. Don't hand over the use of personal colleagues or mobile phones and all that. Never share your pen with your customer. If the customer wanted to sign a service report, please ask him to bring his own own pen and sign the service report. Don't use it. Never enter the places marked isolated or quarantined. So don't get into trouble. If you are not able to reach the customer, better tell them that you are not coming, and we will reschedule the service later part of time. So this is the small guidelines of do's and don'ts without having said. And my suggestion is, as Ajit said, just don't send the WhatsApp or just send the points. You have to call them over a phone, or you can, as he said, there are many options available for training, even in Google Chat or so many other. Google Hangout is there. Then even Zoom is there, 40 minutes free. So all that is possible. So please train them properly and then only send them. Don't just rush them to the site. Thank you, Meet. Over to you.
Kalyan sir, I think a very detailed answer. I think just on a lighter note, I think extra pen देना पड़ेगा technician को service report sign करवाने के लिए. You might as well gift it to your customer, वरना मालूम पड़ा service report ही sign नहीं हुआ एक pen की वजह से. So I think now coming to that point, I think the seriousness behind it is, whatever suggestions are there, or whatever these additional work or the guidelines we are following, it comes at a cost, right? Everything has got a cost. We all are entrepreneurs. I think every aspect of our business is, we put cost to it. Now, how do you convey this to your end customer? So, Ajit, will you be able to take this question? I think
Okay.
Kalyan is having some trouble with his net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what is this guidelines? This guidelines is safety, right? So it's safety is what? It means your person's life, right? Your own life, your person's life, your customer's life. So what you're saying is, what is that cost of that life? That's priceless. Safety, and it is very important for us to understand. You know, we need to accept the fact that we have been operating at very low safety standards. The entire trade and industry is struggling on this front, even before the COVID, that, you know, you had to have certain safety measures. Now, the whole new world is completely different. You will have to raise your safety levels to what you have never even imagined before. So, safety is a price. You have to bring it into your costing, and you will have to pass it on to your customer. That is not a place to discount. You have to be upfront about it, because right now it is not only your life, your technician's life, it's also your customer's life, his customer's property, his people, everybody. So it's a price. You have to communicate it. You might not communicate it that this is an X percentage because of COVID. No, but it has to go into your costing, and you cannot discount that. And that's mandatory. That's the way, that's the new world. You might as well reach to international standards and maybe even better than that.
Thank you, Ajit, for those insights. Yes, Kalyan sir, you can say something. Yeah.
In fact, what I would like to add is nowadays, now this is a time where you have to add your make your costing very clearly and make yourself very clear that what, see, tomorrow after the COVID-19 or after you find a vaccine and all that things, now even the governments are thinking about a lockdown of 10 days or 12 days or something like that. Even I saw a tweet from our Minister KDR that it would be wiser to make a 10 days lockdown every year or something like that. So all these things will be a cost to your company. So cost of a technician. So this is something which we never thought about. We always made our cost very optimal and all that, and we never had any this thing, and we need to now pay our salaries for our employees. We can't say no. We have to support them at this time. And with all that, we need to have the costing very clearly and keep it in mind that we.
I think Kalyan sir is having some trouble. So I think I'll thank you, Kalyan sir. We got your point. We'll move on to Anish. Anish, the question, I think you are right now at the, how do I say, I think at the front line, I think facing all the bullets or dodging all the bullets one after another. Yes. And the question to you is going to be the post-lockdown, when the workplaces shall reopen, what are the operational guidelines to restart these HVAC systems? So I think you can, elaborate on that and what are the challenges which are coming in.
Sure, Mihir. But before I go to that, I would just like to really first thank ISHRE and Rata for setting up this panel. And I think both these organizations, they've done a great job in getting the industry together, because that's very important at this time, that everybody works together towards a common solution. The problems we are facing are all common. So the solutions also, once we discuss, will be good. Also like to really appreciate, Vishal, Richie for the wonderful guide that has come out. We have used the guide and shared it with a lot of our customers, and it's been appreciated, and we have used a lot of those learnings in our approach as we move out from the lockdown phase. But just to give you everybody a brief about what's happened till now, because that's relevant to what we'll do once the lockdown opens. Once this was announced on 22nd March, there was chaos, mayhem, because we were running buildings which had 50-60,000 people in those buildings at one time. And suddenly from the next day, those buildings had just about 200, 300, maybe just 500 people. So there was not too much of time that the people were given to really shut down the buildings. It was a sudden closure of the buildings. And for the last month or so, of buildings, and like I said, we have experience of about 200 buildings we are managing. Similarly, there is about 50-60 million square feet of commercial A-grade real estate space which is occupied by all these large IT companies and MNCs as well as Indian large corporates. So that's the space I'm talking about. There are many other government facilities and institutional areas and all which also will face the same problem. So now, during this lockdown phase, most of the buildings that we have been managing, what we have tried to do is have a reduced maintenance schedule. So that means start the chiller once a week, AHUs every day for a certain time, do, for example, pump maintenance, the water circulation in the systems, cooling tower trays, cleaning them up. So those activities have been done. But some buildings where we were not allowed to operate at all, there's been actually no maintenance done. So when you get ready for opening up, say for example, 3rd May is the date when we are likely to resume full operations or at least some amount of operations. One will have to see what was the state of the building for the last 40 days and then accordingly make your plan for starting up. Many actions will be similar, but some places where you've been doing some maintenance activities, it will be easier. Some places where there's a full shutdown, it will be more difficult. Our suggestion, especially for HVAC, is that first and foremost, speak to the AMC suppliers, OEMs who are there, ask them to do a site visit if it is possible, let them check your systems because they are the experts. They would know if there's any problem in the system and what actions to be taken. Apart from that, of course, the basic checks in terms of the integrity of the system, cleaning of the filters, all those basic checks anyway that you do when you normally start a system are going to be there. What will be different here is how this is being done, because one, we are going to face a challenge of manpower. A lot of people are not there now to really do the work. So some of the trained people have already gone out. They've gone for their hometowns, or they're not present, or they're not able to come because of the quarantines or the containment zones. So the people who are there, they will have to be trained. Somebody from the supervisory team will have to check that these people know what they're doing. It shouldn't happen that somebody goes to an HU and checks the HU, but it doesn't do the check properly because he hasn't got the training. So that's one big difference that we see when we are going to start up the operations. And in addition to that, in most commercial buildings, that's how it is structured. The landlord provides the air conditioning up to the HU, and then inside the office space, the occupant has to manage the space. So now that space, whether it is ventilated enough, what is the state of the internal hygiene in that space, those all aspects will have to be jointly discussed with the occupant, the people who are there occupying the building, as well as the developer, and a plan made. Typically, we are recommending 3 days before the go-live date. Operations should start in terms of recirculating the air, cleaning all the HU filters, opening up the windows which are there. Again, as mentioned in the ISHRE guide, ventilation is very, very important, especially getting outdoor ventilation. So those changes in the fresh air dampers will have to be made. Most buildings have treated fresh air systems. So cleaning the filters and seeing that they're working. A lot of places they were not used so much, the dampers are closed. So those aspects post-COVID are going to be important. That's the guidance that we are giving, and that's the way we are preparing for post-lockdown operations.
Vishal, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think Anish obviously has talked from the larger building perspective, because they have to take care of many other facilities, not just air conditioning. Air conditioning is one of the services, but what is very important, as Anish rightly said, is that air conditioning ventilation is going to play a big role, not only in running the facility, but also from the spread of the virus perspective, spread and control of the virus in these commercial buildings. And also there's a lot of fear and panic in the minds that is my office safe, where there will be so many people coming whenever the lockdown lifts, and they'll be coming from various parts of the cities, etc. So how do I keep my office safe? And we do hear things about 70% plus of the COVID positive cases have been asymptomatic. So how do we prevent all those things? So the only one answer to that is, and what I would say before I give my answer is, a lot of these things are supposed to be there even in non-COVID times. Unfortunately, a lot of us as industry practitioners, and I will use the word practitioners, have ignored those things. Ventilation was always supposed to be there. Filtration was always supposed to be there. Controlling your fresh air Maintaining your filters, maintaining your coils is not a new thing. It's just that now, because there is a risk to life, a risk to health, people are talking a lot about it. I just really hope that once this whole fear is over, the pandemic is over. I'm not talking about the lockdown. Once the pandemic is over the next few months, we do not go back to the old. We bring out a new normal. And the new normal would mean we need fresh air. We need maximized fresh air. During these days, during the pandemic, the quantity of fresh air should be maximized as much as the system can handle. But even beyond that, we need to ensure maximize fresh air, even at the cost of having the temperature inside those premises at a higher level than 24. Let it go to 25, let it go to 26. If your fresh air is coming in, people will not feel uncomfortable. So the only way of churning out viruses from an occupied workspace, because CBRE, for example, will be handling some very large spaces where you're going to be talking of 60, 50, 40, 70 square feet per person in those offices, so high density offices. The only way out is bring in maximized fresh air, ensure there are exhausts working, whether through the adjoining toilets or kitchens. Even if you have to have some exhausts, do that. There are theories that people take care of in practice, is that from the larger common areas or from where transient visitors are going to be staying for long, possibly do not pick up return air. So for example, if you have a waiting area outside the office, we expect a lot of people to be just waiting, or people coming to deliver stuff, couriers, etc. Maybe you do not pick up any return air from there, so that area gets positively pressurized and air leaks out. So you have to basically do ventilation. We have mentioned in a document that you need to have MERV 13 filters installed. Now, this is not something new. It's supposed to be there in green buildings. But unfortunately, to save power, to save cost, to save replacement cost, a lot of these filters have been removed, are not in working condition, etc. So get those filters back, follow the maintenance regime, and I am pretty sure COVID will not be a problem for us while we get into our offices.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Coming to you, Shamaji, I think the question to you would be, you have a huge setup of manufacturing. And what are the biggest challenges what you see in reopening a manufacturing setup? So I think that's the biggest challenge for people like you and me. We really don't know how to restart all these. So what are the challenges what you see?
So good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Ishre and Rata, for such a wonderful panel session. The answer to this question would be, Mihirji, that we have a lot of things in front of us which have to be sorted out when we start the manufacturing setup. First is that we have to make sure that the workers are trained to maintain the social distancing, to make sure that they are using gloves and masks while they are doing work in the factory. Also, what I would suggest is that we should curb any infection to come in the factory from the front gate only by measuring the temperatures. I had just gone to Mumbai a few weeks before the lockdown was over, and we saw that major buildings in Mumbai, they were actually monitoring our temperature before we could enter the building. So this could be one of the things which we should make sure that this is happening. Plus, I also think that the industries where the laborers are not coming with their own transportation and are using public transport, it is a major issue. With ISHRAE guidelines, we have to actually educate all our workers to use their own transport if possible and come to the factories. The workers who have gone back to their native places, it is going to be a little bit difficult for those manufacturers again to start the factory with the less number of workers. And actually, we have to train ourselves to start on a batch-wise production, which means that start with small number of workers in 8-hourly shifts, which will make everything very safe and sound.
So particularly, how do you intend to maintain the social distancing on the manufacturing floor? Because there are quite a few activities which will require a bunch of workers to do. I mean, that is the biggest challenge as a manufacturer we are going to face.
I understand, like for brazing activity, we need a brazier and a helper both who are actually standing quite close to each other while doing this activity. So I think again we go to the ISHRAE guidelines where it has been specified that everybody has to use gloves and mask, and what we have been taught by the social media, wash hands on hourly basis and make sure that the person who has the smallest symptom of cough or cold has to remain absent for that specific day.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. Rishi
I
sir,
had
would
to,
you?
because
Yeah.
we also run, we provide services to a lot of manufacturing facilities on the maintenance side. So one important thing I think is for the people out there to be made aware, because they're generally in remote areas, not in public areas. So the awareness amongst them has to be much higher, because they are the tendency for them, because they just hear social media, so they tend to hide. We had some cases where people had high temperatures, but the supervisor did not inform the manager, and for 2 days that person was there at the factory. So we need to, I think, increase the messaging in those areas because of the relatively lesser, say, formal communication going there.
Perfect. Richi sir, would you like to share a few guidelines on this or something?
So I think Shama has she's been running a factory and she's full versed with it. I think all precautions we have to live with. There's a very common word which is coming, new normal. So new normal, and Ajit's very well explained what is new normal. We have to live with COVID. So let's not stop. Let's keep on going. And I think all precaution as far as government guideline like washing hand, social distancing, wearing a mask, and checking people entering and washing your hand regularly. I think there was an WhatsApp message which says that a 10 rupee soap can save you from this COVID, which is like washing your hands. So I think it is not very difficult, but I think all precautions and as Vishal mentioned, I really like that everything was there in the design, but we never bothered about. We always worked on how to save energy from fresh air, how to save filtration costs. So now we got to think about it. We have to come back to it, and we have to live with the original design. And I don't see any big challenge that. So I think that is from my side to me. And I think we have to make sure that all the ventilation system is in operation. That is very important, because ventilation and a good ventilation, good rate, exchange rate or air change rate that we can afford on any HU or anything. But I think that is very important. Thank you, Mihir.
Right. Thank you so much. I think I'll take now last couple of questions, and I think then we'll leave the floor open to majority of the questions which are continuously coming in on the question, what I can see. One question to you is, Anish ji, is that what should be specific precautions taken by the service professional in healthcare as well as in non-healthcare? So I think you can take any of the question on that front.
Yeah, Mihir, so I will stick to non-healthcare because that's the area that we work in, and then maybe Gautam could maybe share on the healthcare part. But
Sure.
From a precautions for HVAC personnel, see, they're the ones who are actually going and maintaining the buildings and the equipments which are there. So some of them are already in the facility. So those people have to, of course, maintain the social distancing and when they do maintenance. But critically is when the AMC suppliers come onto the site. That I think is a critical point, because a lot of now buildings, they are being very, very careful in terms of who comes in from which area. So I think it's there in the ISHRAE guidelines as well that the people who are coming in should have the necessary PPEs as well as the documentation about who they are, where they're coming from. That's one aspect of it. But otherwise, handling the systems and equipment, that will remain the same. Yes, they'll have to maintain social distance, but that will not change. I don't think there'll be any change on that. Only thing is, again, I come to the main point that we may not have the same number of trained people. So the people who are going there will need more supervision, both from the customer side as well as from the service provider side. I think these are the two key areas: more supervision and use of the PPEs would be relevant.
Right. Gautam sir, would you like to add anything in terms of the technicians who are going to the healthcare facilities? Anything specific? Any suggestions or something?
Yeah, in healthcare facilities, there are two categories of places in which the technicians go. One is, of course, the non-COVID areas, and the others are the COVID areas. In the non-COVID areas, we take precisely the same type of precautions that have already been highlighted, so I don't want to go through it again. But in the COVID areas, if they are asked to go there, they have to go for the things that the other healthcare people are doing. That is wearing the N95 mask and other PPE, gear that is put, that coat, overall, and all that. And all these things after the, doing the maintenance, they have to come out, and these items are not to be reused. They have to be just trashed. So these are the extra precautions that you need to take. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Vishal, would you like to add anything to that, please?
No, I think
we have certain guidelines.
Yeah, so on our document, if you refer to the COVID guidance document, there's a very specific 3-page section for service technicians, both for normal applications, office applications, as well as for healthcare. So instead of explaining it right now over here, I would recommend everyone, please download that book. It has very clear do's and don'ts separately for healthcare. And once you follow them, everyone is going to be safe. I only have one thing to add over here, Mihir. I think all of us owe a huge round of thanks, gratitude to the entire service technicians who are there in the field right now, whether addressing hospitals, whether they're addressing office commercial spaces, because we are sitting at home, work from home. We can be busy on webinars, handling customer calls the time they come, but these are people who are actually going out over there, staying in those premises and handling calls, or maybe going as technicians attending breakdowns at various places. They might be following all the PPE safety protocols, but the family back home, the mental pressure is same. We need really to thank, and we should all as business owners take care of our service team, especially the ones who are working in these tough times.
Perfect. I think what you have said is very apt, and here I'll get Richie sir. I think there are operational and O&M guidelines which ISHRAE has come up with. Would you be able to say in very brief, so then we can, I think, move forward?
I'll be very, very brief. I think we are running short of time, and it is better to take questions. So, ISHRAE is coming up. Vishal is again chairing that committee, and that we are coming with operation and maintenance guideline for HVAC industry. So, which we will be very shortly. We are working on it, and we should be very shortly launching. And we would request that we will invite everybody for the launch, and we will share that document very soon. Thank you, Mihir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think due to paucity of time, there are quite a few other questions which are also there, but I think I'll have to skip. I think one question which I would like to ask to Vikram sir, what is the government support that we are expecting here? Vikram sir, if you could come in and...
Yes, Mihir. So I will wish to tell you, the government has supported this situation first very directly by CPWD releasing the ISHRAE document as the guidelines to follow. I think that's a big positive step the government has taken. So we as ISHRAE or RATA, we can give guidelines, we can issue ways to work, but the government has backed it up by saying this is the path to follow. So I think that's one of the biggest things the government has done. Another good thing the government has done was that many of us run business industry, and workers are covered by employee state insurance. So now that also covers the healthcare of workers who are affected illness of COVID. I think that's a very positive step the government has done. But all the other things which small industries and businesses will be looking out for is what is the means in which they will be able to do their businesses better. So here I have to say that we have government of the people, by the people, for the people. We must all be very conscious that we are in a democracy. Start educating your municipal councillors to bring in regulations to be able to operate this document. That will give great business opportunity. And another thing I wish to say for businesses that you have to help yourself. The government certainly will help you. There are many things which you are concerned about, as GST and taxes and loans and so on and so forth. The Minister of Finance is conscious of all this, and I have a reasonably good assurance from the government that there will be a lots of relief from these things once everything opens, but the government has a limitation in how much it can allow and how much it can spend. So lastly, I wish to say that there are huge opportunities for business in repair, recycle, and follow these guidelines to get business. You will really have a lot of things to do. and follow the guidelines well. The government is all here to support us, and I think we should be positive. We are in a democracy, and we have the best opportunity. We have handled this crisis well so far, and we will continue to do it well. The COVID will perish, but we will not, and we will fight it well along with our government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikram sir. So there are quite a few questions which are coming in, and I'll just ask a couple of questions, and then I would ask you on your closing remarks, particularly what is now the new normal. So I think I'll ask a couple of you on those questions. I think one question which is coming is, does UV light kill COVID? I think I'll pass on that question to Gautam sir.
Yeah. See, UVC, that is UV light C band, is good solution for killing virus that is deposited on cooling coils and on the drain pan, because whatever gets deposited there, that has got a long residence time. You know, it remains there for a long time for the light to kill it. But what happens is, if you're trying to use the UV light in a moving air stream, whether it is on the AHU or inside the duct, you know, the time of residence of that air for under the UV light rays is so short. It is milliseconds, and within that time the UV rays are not going to kill that virus or bacteria at all. So for this reason, if you are thinking that UVC is going to kill the virus in the moving air, it won't. It's going to kill only what gets deposited, and only very, very tiny fraction gets deposited on the drain pan and the cooling coil, not in the air. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ajit, there is one question which has come is, what kind of outfits should the technician wear?
So typically depends on where the technician is going. So if he's going to a healthcare facility, Mr. Gautam has already explained the requirements of those personal protection equipments are pretty stringent. You need to make sure that he's safe, because he's getting into, and most of these hospitals have got COVID quarantines. So those PPE requirements are completely different, and you need to follow those. But now let's talk about non-healthcare facilities. Typically in non-healthcare facilities, pretty much standard COVID guidelines is pretty much good enough in terms of keeping your mask and going. But you will have a challenge here. The challenge is not from what a technician or what he requires or what is the protection equipment. Your customers will be worried, and they will probably say that, hey, listen, we want him in the PPE equipment because we want to protect our premises or our stuff. Now you have to be extremely careful about these, because your people are going out, in the summer. You are expecting him to wear the PPE equipment, stand out in the hot sun. It's not easy. So you will have to see which is the right PPE equipment to use, whereby the customer is taken care of. He's going to a non-healthcare facility, so use not something that is extremely difficult for him to use on the field. Yes, face mask, face shield can be done, but when he's putting a complete overall, you got to be careful. Second, you're going to do brazing, and you're going to use that. So you got to be extremely careful that it doesn't become hazardous for him when he's using it. So his safety, even from a PPE equipment, has to be kept in mind. So for healthcare and non-healthcare, the requirements will be completely different, and you need to approach it. And for the non-healthcare, the requirements primarily come from your customers.
Thank you. Anish, the next question is for you. What are the key aspects to consider from the HVAC standpoint when preparing for reopening of a building and office? Because you will be having a lot of social distancing into the picture. So the loads will vary.
Yes, I think that's a very, very important aspect, and good question that has come. The new normal basically will mean that if you were earlier taking about 70 to 80 square feet per person, that is not going to happen. If you're having 1,000 people in your office in one shift, you may only have 500, and the meeting rooms are going to be now only having, if there are 6-seater meeting rooms, companies are making it mandate that only there will be 3 people maximum. Cafeterias also, they're not going to have that many people. So the air conditioning loads definitely are going to vary. The building was not designed, neither was the HU designed for the lower loads or the lower, I would say, occupancy. So once the buildings start operating, I think there'll be a bit of a phase where they will do a bit of a trial and error and see what works. Organizations and offices also will see that where all they'll have to keep people. Do they want to have all the floors operational or only 2 or 3 floors operational? those aspects are going to be very, very critical, I think, once buildings open. So the HVAC operators and the managers, HVAC managers, will have to keep a very close watch. Second and most important thing is most buildings, people are used to wanting to feel cold at 19 to 20 degrees. That's not going to happen now. We'll all have to switch over to 24 plus degrees. So the communication to employees that yes, you will feel a bit of a discomfort, but it's for your own safety. That again is a critical area that one have to look at from an operation, from the employee's point of view.
Right. Now the next question is for Gautam sir. There is a hype that coronavirus particles will not be filtered by the HEPA filter. Any comment on that?
Yeah, see, basically HEPA filters come in a big variety. To put it very simply, there are various standards, and you know, if you are talking of HEPA filter, we are talking of grade H13 and better. If you have got H13 filter, it can very well take care of your coronavirus. Basically, it is, though the virus is only, you know, 80 nanometers, as the same 80 nanometers to 120 nanometers, and we are talking of HEPA filters which are rated for 0.3 micron, which is a bigger size than that. Fact is that these viruses, they all don't fly by themselves in the air. They agglomerate on bigger particles. Okay, and you have to catch a bigger particle, and if that is caught, the minimum size that is caught is considered to be 0.56 micron. So if you do that, you can eliminate all the virus that is there in the air. So to answer very clearly, HEPA filter grade H13 and above can totally eliminate the virus that is coming in the airstream and passing through it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Vishal, the next question is for you. How do you sensitize the customers on what needs to be done for visiting technicians for maintenance?
I think customers are actually already very much sensitized, and they are themselves going to be far more careful. And if I can use that sentence, they're going to be far more careful at times than even the service providers. And that's something to our advantage, really. Clients know today that because now their own lives or their own health is at stake, they are 100% much more conscious about what can be done and what should not be done inside the premises. But what is important for clients today to know is they are responsible for the service teams, not just within their premises. They're also responsible for service teams when these people leave their premises. So there needs to be, especially when you go to places like healthcare, we talk of tools have to be sanitized. We're talking of all the instruments to be sanitized. We're talking of disinfecting the area in plant rooms. When you look at a lot of places in our country and you go to where the machineries are installed, where the chillers are installed or the plants are installed, those aren't very well maintained generally by the clients. Those are kinds of ignored because they're back of house. It'll be very important today for clients to consider back of house spaces, housed equipment, where the equipment is housed, to maintain those places, disinfect, spray, disinfect, etc. Those places also as much as possible. Also, they'll have to be ready with fewer people coming in for some time. There are going to be guaranteed delays in attending calls because there will be limited people working. More than number of people limited, there are PPEs to be taken off, put on, PPEs to be taken off, which is all going to take time. So a client has to be ready that yes, if his call, say at a normal house, if today my AC could be serviced in say half an hour, it's going to take longer than half an hour now. I will have to be ready to cooperate with the service company, with the service providers, with the technicians going ahead.
I'd like to add to Vishal.
Yeah.
So one of like how Vishal has explained, there are 2-3 points that I needed to, as a service technician. First is the government has come to app. Make it mandatory that everyone actually downloads that app. It doesn't matter if it is your technician, you should download it, your technician should download it, customers also should download it. Mandatory. Second, contact tracing is the only method of actually controlling this. So just in case, let's take the worst case scenario if one of us get infected. the first thing the government will actually do is they will send your the authorities to you and say, last 14 days, where did you go? What did you do? Now, if it is your technician, he'll also come to you as an owner and say, do you know where all you send him? But you know what you have sent him during the day. But the 24-hour cycle is important. Now, there are very easy ways. Every technician, most of them carry an Android phone. You just have to go and activate Google locations history. That's it. And mandatory, everybody has to keep their location on. You can go online and get a complete timeline history of the last 14 days, and you can hand it over to the authorities. And that is important from a national perspective. That will help in contact tracing immediately, low cost, nothing to do. We already have it with us. Use it. And Arogya Setu app, mandatory. You have to keep it on. GPS, mandatory. You got to keep it on.
Ajit, before I could give the ask the question, you answered the. Perhaps you are reading the chat, yeah. Okay.
No,
coming to the next question, which is
just continued discussing so much with him, so it just continues to flow.
Right. There is another question and rather a request, I think, which has come is that can these ISHRAE guidelines be translated into Hindi and be shared on Rata platform? There is one request which has come in. I think we are already, you can.
So we'll make an effort. But yeah, this is, I keep saying, we are a country which is DIFM. Do it for me. That is the whole problem. That, in a COVID crisis, this DIFM method will not work. You have to switch from this model to DIY, do it yourself. And there is a way to do that. You can just go to Google Translate, choose what is the relevant information, copy, paste it, and it will give it to you in any language that you want. But having said that, from an association perspective, we'll make an effort. I will do that.
So I think you can also add, there is a COVID page on the website, and I think quite a few of the...
So on the Rata page also, on the Rata website also, there is a COVID page. You can go and see everything that is being done by Rata related to COVID, and we will keep adding real-time information out there. On the website, there is a link called as Ask Rata. So if you have any question which you have not asked in this webinar or something, anything else, just go there and enter that question, and we will definitely write back to you or call you back if necessary.
Yeah, thank you. There is still one more question, which is can I have the percentage of the fresh air to maintain in the return air to maintain this situation? Can anyone take that question, please? Percentage of fresh air.
So I can answer that, Mihir, if you want.
Yeah, Vikram sir.
Yeah, okay. So we have given very clearly in the COVID document what are the fresh air guidelines, the minimum fresh air to be maintained, whether it's a commercial space or spaces like that, which is in very short terms, I can just tell you, it is 5 CFM per person plus 0.06 CFM per square foot. But very generally, this is not a design guideline, but 1 air change or 1.5 air changes will be quite all right. Also, you can apply another method, which you can do, is to see that how much of CFM is being supplied there. For example, if it's a 10-ton machine, it will be supplying 4,000 CFM. So about 10% to 12% of that, which is like 400, 500 CFM, would be quite okay as a minimum guideline for fresh air. So you've got 3 methods in which you can calculate the fresh air. And fresh air is not taken in return air. Whoever has asked this question, please understand fresh air comes in with supply air. And we have also told you about exhaust. It is very important to exhaust that air as well. Please don't imagine you're going to do so much of recirculation. Maintain your exhaust, have this minimum 1 air change or the COVID guidelines, which are very clear, or at least 10 to 12% of your supply air should now be fresh air. And if it's not working well, you'll have to buy a treated fresh air unit in case your air conditioning capacity is not okay in that case. So these guidelines are good. And for specific areas, you'll have to apply specific design based on our recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, I think there are multiple questions, and I think due to paucity of time, I won't be able to take them all. I'll take the final question. Can someone comment that there are some aerosols being promoted which can be kept in the ductwork and it helps in controlling the spread through ducts?
Gautam, Vishal to answer.
Gautam, sir, could you take that question?
Gautam, you don't want to do it, so I take it up.
No, I don't want to do it.
Hey, but I think, Mihir, I think we should be commenting on this platform about the credibility of such solutions, because none of these, if I put bluntly, none of them have been tested for COVID-19. None of these technologies have been tested for COVID-19. There have been some tests done on these for things like mold, etc., fungi, and some other kinds of bacteria, but not for SARS or COVID-19 kind of viruses, if that answers the question.
Perfect. Yeah, and final question to you, Gautam sir, which is what kind of fumigation to be done? I mean, particularly, I mean, for sanitizing the entire facility. Will you be able to take that?
Yeah, there is one recommendation in terms of what is the cleaning agent. So the cleaning agent is Cresol, you know, in a particular percentage, and people have been using that. And in terms of fumigation, they have been using H2O2 also in a particular you know, solution. So basically, what is done is that it is kept for 15 minutes in closed condition in the room, and you fumigate the room, and after that you circulate it through the system for another 15 minutes, and after that the whole place is exhausted. This is one way of doing it.
Okay, thank you. So now I'll ask all the panelists the final question. We are going to overshoot by 10 minutes in closing this particular discussion, but I think this final question is a must. What is the new normal? Okay, I think I'm going to break this into two parts. One is from the design and the operation point of view, and one is from the maintenance point of view. I would request each panelist to answer this question, not more than 1 minute. What is your new normal, and what is going to be new normal for each one of us? So I'll start with you, Vishal.
Thank you. It's a good thing to start with, because by the end, I hope nothing is left. So the new normal, I think I have already spelled it out. The new normal is what we should have anyway been doing all these years, and that is to do with follow the designer. The architects need to accept that a building is meant for people, and the building has to be designed, services have to be designed in such a manner that they are people friendly and not just aesthetically good. So the most important thing would, my opinion from an engineering point of view, is stress on services, so that things like ventilation, filtration, etc. are not struggles tomorrow. They are part of a life. Every building, every installation is designed keeping that in mind. So that's the most important thing I'd want to say.
Yeah, Rishi sir, over to you.
I think Vishal, you almost covered, but I think new normal is that we got to live with, as Ajit has very clearly mentioned, that we have to live with all the original designs and all precautions and guidelines. So there's so much available now that we should maintain a social distancing, wash our hands. So again, I'll repeat, 10, I really like the message, 10 rupees can save your life. Just keep on washing your hand down the time and make sure that you're in order. So we got to live with this, and hygiene is most important. So which is being taught in our schools and colleges, but I think we have to maintain the hygiene, which is the format I've said. Thank you, Mia.
Right. Ajit, over to you.
Look, let's take this positive. That is what's the outcome is literally not in your control. But I want to be I'm probably an eternal optimist, so I want to share that whole thing with you. The new norm is going to be wonderful. It's going to be probably an opportunity to fix all the things that we did not do earlier. Your customers will understand you better right now. They have all gone through this. Services, so equipment designs and the equipments will definitely vary. And these are not new things. These are all things that should have been at the first place. From a services perspective, yes, you might get some new requirements where your customers during the COVID period might say that I want a permanent implant in that place. I don't want people going up and down. So these are the kind of new things that would come. But let's be optimistic. This is going to change for all of us, and it is going to change for the good. Probably we'll be now better than global standards. That's what it is.
Anish, over to you.
Yeah, for me, I think while there will be a lot of changes in the new normal, for me, I think the main change will come in is the use of technology, Internet of Things, data analytics, remote management. We've all realized in this situation that when you cannot get people there to run your machines or operate or maintain your systems, there is a risk for business. There's a risk for the people who are there. So I'm sure technology is going to play a bigger role in how we operate and maintain. I'm just talking about the second part of the question, Mehir. Technology will, I think, transform, and there will be more buy-in from customers to bring in technology to both operate as well as to maintain.
Thank you, Aniji. Gautam sir, your call, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I would rather
Gautam,
comment on the healthcare spaces. You know, the critical areas have to be designed in future for two modes of operation. That is the normal operation, pandemic mode. And during the pandemic mode, you have to quickly be able to change over to 100% fresh air and exhaust during the pandemic. And the HU systems should necessarily have ducted air, which is not the case right now. So that makes a lot of difference. And lastly, we have to earmark certain patient rooms of quick conversion to isolation rooms for surge capacities. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Kalyan sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
For me, I would say the new normal will be stop, look, and proceed. This is what we do when we're supposed to do in the road. So I think we will start doing it. Like what I mean by stop, proceed is we need to start putting systems into your place, and especially in service and project areas. And also training and procedures are more important. And we don't just push people into the well to swim. Rather, we train them and then put them into the field. That would be the new norm. So I would say stop, look, proceed is the new norm. What I would say in the future.
Right. Shama,
the new normal should be going back to the roots, saying namaste, not handshaking, and as much as we have always been people friendly, we must be more technologically friendly and accept the challenge and progress.
right. Thank you. Vikram sir.
Okay, so I have the following, just a minute, the following comments that we have to become mindful of being adaptive with comfort and go back to passive systems of cooling, which will really bring down the cooling load. You might have noticed in Gautam's room, which he's speaking, the fan is on. The fan is also on in my house. So we can feel very comfortable in a passive way and in an adaptive way. The other thing is architects will start designing buildings and in such a way that they are naturally thermally comfortable. Biggest thing which is going to happen is we are going to keep our surroundings very clean. I think that's a wonderful thing which is going to happen because we are going to take in a lot of fresh air. Our outdoors around our building must be kept clean. Our indoors must be kept completely clean. And I think my most important message is that we should care for our neighbor. Our neighbor is our immediate family, our employees, the people we meet, the people where we go, and that must be reciprocated. Care for the other. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard all the panelists giving their final what is new normal. Okay, I think perhaps our Mother Nature Earth has actually got into a reset mode. And let us all ensure that it is a restart and not a shutdown. I think let's stay positive. Let's bring the change because as Mr. Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi said, if you want to bring the change, be the change. So it is up to us. How do we get this change? How do we embrace this change? And with a lot of positivity. I see definitely a bright future for our country, and I'm very sure. I think the best part is that you are getting time with your family, you time to regroup, you get time to rethink, go back to your roots, understand your first time in life. I think perhaps all of us have got time for our own self. I think barring these panelists who are spending a lot of time in con calls and all that, but majority of us are getting these time. Utilize that. Spend time, think about it. Let's regroup and restart. That is what is very, very important. I thank each one of you. We had through and through more than 500 delegates on this panel. I think a big round of applause to each one of you. This is something simply amazing what we are seeing. I have to thank particularly Richi sir and Ajit, I think, for this entire, starting this particular panel and I mean this interaction. All the panelists, I think the views which have come across are simply amazing. And especially, I think the advocacy committee, I should thank MP Agrawal Saab, who is the chair, I think for initiating these talks and I think reaching out to the wider audiences. That is what is very, very important. Vice Chair Mr. Ashu Gupta and entire team. Particularly, the back-end operations, which has been beautifully managed by Sandeep Gehlotra Saab, Sandeep Mehdi, Anuj and Jitender, and Mr. Rahul Deshpande. Thank you so much. You guys have done a phenomenal job. Without this particular panel discussion would not have been possible. Ladies and gentlemen, really apologize. There are more than 350 questions that I can see on the question list. It is practically not possible to take all those questions, but yes, we have saved these questions, and I think I'm sure with this panelist help, we will try and answer majority of questions. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for joining this panel discussion. And on behalf of Ishre and Rata, we thank each one of you for your presence. Stay home, stay safe, and take care of your family and your loved ones. Thank you very much. Signing off on behalf of Ishre and Rata. Thank you, guys.